the end of the summer,
Yeah, right.
and it's been a chock-a-block few weeks and months with the
Mm.
cinema listings, the movies on streaming.
Mm.
You've been busy
I have, yeah.
going to a lot of these screenings and viewings.
Yeah.
Any particular favorite? Actually, well, yeah, we're sort of 2/3 of the way through the year.
Yeah.
Any favorite films at this point for the whole year so
Ooh,
far?
favorite film for the whole year. Sinners. I think it's good.
You did
With
like Sinners, didn't you?
Yeah,
You were
Sinners was good. It had that kind of that gloss, that extra layer of gloss that you don't normally get with films. Um, the color, the design, the music, great blue soundtrack. So yeah, I think if I had to plump for one, and it has been a good year for films this year, I think so far. If I had to plump for one, it'd be Sinners, I reckon. What about you?
Oh, well, as you know, I've not seen too many films at the cinema. There is a film I saw very recently, but I'm not allowed to talk about it on this
Are
podcast
you not? Oh, what's
because
that then?
it's embargoed until
Oh, okay.
not long until after this actually comes out,
Oh, right.
which is really frustrating.
No, no, no.
It was a very good film, I must say.
Yeah.
Really, really enjoyed it. But in terms of I probably have seen a lot of indie films this year.
Mm,
It's been very heavily on that side of things.
yeah.
Just trying to think of some of the best ones that I've seen, because there's just so many.
I know. Yeah.
It might not be my favorite film, but there was a film that. Oh, I know what I saw. Yeah, it was that Holt Boggs film. He's only a small part in it.
Yeah.
Do you remember the film where it's terrible? I can't even remember the name. Where
Describe it for me.
so she was a YouTuber, but
Yeah.
then she
Oh, yeah, I know.
lost her fame, and then she ends up getting embroiled in like
Yeah.
a drug deal.
Yeah.
I'm
I
trying to
c
remember what
Well,
it's
if it makes you
called
feel better, I can't remember what it's called either, but I know the one you mean.
because
So
we reviewed it, didn't we?
yeah, we did review it, and yeah, it was good because it's you know what, it gives you something quite inventive, Chris. So, we're looking for innovation. The films we're going to talk about tonight are borrowing old ideas. There's nothing wrong with that. If you've got a template that works, use it.
Uh,
But sorry, go on.
that I've just worked out what it was, and the reason why I couldn't remember it is because it's got a really bizarre name.
Oh,
It's
right.
quite long. The
Oh,
Ego Death of Queen Cecilia.
oh, right. Of course.
That was one of those films that was really. It just took me as
Yeah,
a T-bone. I was like, I had no idea that was coming, and all of a sudden it just
yeah,
elevated it. Yeah, really enjoyed that, and it's
yeah.
that
No, it
sort
was
of
good. Yeah,
enjoyable out of nowhere film that I like, especially doing this podcast. It means that
mm,
we're able to get access to a film like that.
yeah,
I think it's not even out yet; it's still doing festival runs and things.
mm,
But yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was
yeah.
great. Um, Bigger films. Oh, I'm not sure. Um,
Because they go on to,
I say bigger, not that, like it's bigger, but you know what I mean. Like films that
yeah,
have been at the cinema.
yeah.
Um,
Because they go on to
mm,
stream fairly quickly, don't they now?
and that's the thing. I get confused because I
Mm,
don't go to the cinema all that often.
no,
Now I often will go with the kids. Like I went to see the new How to Train Your Dragon film,
yeah,
which I really enjoyed.
yeah,
Um, Moana 2 I went to see with them. Yeah, I get sort of the odd screening there, but for me, it's often the indie films where I get a lot
yeah,
of enjoyment and a lot
yeah.
of fulfillment.
Well, we get some few exclusives, don't we? We get to see things that other people wouldn't necessarily have seen yet because the availability of these films is sometimes quite restricted, isn't it? So it makes you feel quite privileged, doesn't it, to see these films?
We are privileged,
Yeah.
and privileged is what we're going to go with. If this is your first time to Film Club, welcome. It's me and Brian here, which will be reviewing all manner of films.
Mm,
We are going to be reviewing the latest cinema releases, of which Brian thankfully does go to the cinema and sees them.
mm-hmm,
We're also going to be reviewing a film that's available on streaming,
mm-hmm.
and also a selection of indie films which get sent to us. And also a nostalgia pick. Nostalgia pick is a film from the past.
Yeah.
And I've managed to tie in the nostalgia pick
Yeah.
to one of the cinema releases, but we'll get onto that later. But first up, we're heading to the cinema because Fantastic Four is back.
It is. Yeah. Right. So, okay then. Dive directed by Matt Shackman, starring Vanessa Kirby, Pedro Pascal, Ebon Moss-Backrack, and Joseph Quinn. So this is the 37th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the second reboot of the Fantastic Four series. It's 1964, and the world celebrates astronauts Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Ben Grimm, and Johnny Storm, becoming the superhuman team known as the Fantastic Four. They gain superhuman powers from exposure to cosmic rays during a space mission. Since then, the team have become heroes, conquering numerous supervillains. They've also used their skills as inventors and diplomats to promote world peace. Expectation grows as Reed and Sue are expecting a baby. The expectation is their child will inherit the same superpowers. However, the Fantastic Four must now defend Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus and his mysterious sidekick, the Silver Surfer. Now, what you see is what you get. Lots of action. The CGI is brilliant, as you would expect, and it all boils down to good overcoming evil. They do it very well. That's the essential message. The actors don't have to do much acting, to be absolutely fair. But strangely, the star of this film, in my opinion, is Ralph Ineson, who plays Galacticus, or at least the voice of Galacticus, who I think is a great baddie. Ralph, Ralph Ineson was in Coronation Street and played Finchy in The Office.
He's got that voice, hasn't he? He's got a really deep, kind of like gravelly voice. I love his
Fantastic voice,
yeah.
yeah, and deserves to be working in Hollywood. That voice is amazing. And but what a contrast, though, being in Coronation Street and The Office, and playing a baddie in a Marvel film. But there you go. I sometimes find Marvel films difficult to critique in any real detail because they serve up the same thing over and over again. But they're major players, and we need to review them. But in as far as it goes, fans will be happy. Film goers will generally be happy with this, and it will do good business. And I'm happy that it is doing good business because it's good for the economy, keeps people in a job. So it does all those positive things. But I didn't feel particularly blown away by it because you do sense you've seen it before. However skilled and polished it is, it is just another Marvel film. But we'll make money, undoubtedly.
And it's such a tricky balance, isn't it? And this
Yeah.
debate about Marvel and cinema and things like that has been
Mm,
raging for many, many years. And
mm,
I saw a lot of things recently about the commercial side of Marvel and how it has, on the one hand, it's kept the cinemas open, but on the other hand, it's made it almost impossible for other films to make
yeah,
money,
I know.
and that is almost it's kind of that duality of their purpose. And
Yeah.
then you've got the the rise of streaming services like Disney
Mm,
Plus and things like that, which have
mm,
then changed the market forever. I think there's a
mm,
popular interview going around with Matt Damon talking about how in the heyday of when they were making films like in the 90s and things, a
mm.
lot of the film's commercial success came off the back of VHS and then DVD
Yeah,
sales.
yes,
That was what
yeah.
financed so many
Mm,
movies and all those people
yeah.
working in them, that now that just doesn't happen, which is why we're also getting films that are being made differently. They're not being
uh,
made with that same approach. We are getting a lot more green screen and a lot less locations and things like
Well,
that,
yeah.
cutting down.
Well, I mean, I do wonder when Marvel or DC Comics will produce a film that's entirely AI generated. It won't be long. I'm sure
No,
it won't.
I know there's already ones out there. I think there's a film festival that does just AI
Yeah.
films, and I think that side of things is fine. I If you're going to get into the AI debate, I
Mm,
think it's fine if it's a tool. Yeah,
mm,
if you're using it and you've got to use it, and that's how you need to tell your story, then that's
mm.
absolutely fine. I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah.
There's lots of room for art, but I
Yeah.
think the crucial part of that is that it has to be there for a reason, and
Mm,
it's there as a tool. It's not there as a creator. It's not there
yeah.
to sort of be the genesis of the story.
Well,
And
yeah.
unfortunately, you hear all these people losing their jobs and
Mm,
not being able to work in the industries and stuff, and that unfortunately just comes with progress. It's
yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
Absolutely don't like it, and you
Yeah.
don't have to do that. You can.
No,
It's like when 3D came out. which has been out in numerous different times across cinema's
Yeah,
history. It comes and everyone's go, "Oh God, we've got to make 3D." So you don't have to.
yeah.
You can ignore 3D; it'll go away. AI
But
will probably go away.
yeah, I know. I mean, 3D did though, didn't it? I mean, they tried to launch it in a big way, didn't they? But it never quite caught on in the way they hoped. I seem to remember. Um,
And I think that's the same for AI. I think the
yeah,
same thing will happen in that people will be able to tell. They think, oh yeah, you won't be able to tell. It's like you will. I think you
yeah.
always will. You even with 3D in special effects, you can always tell. It's like
Well,
one of the films we were reviewing today in the indie section
hmm,
has got a blood splatter in it,
hmm.
and there's a blood splatter, and they've done it using CGI.
Oh, right.
And in James's review, James Leroy's review, he talked about like why didn't they just use blood? Like, everyone loves a good blood, like
Yeah, I
blood
know.
pack, splattering everywhere.
Yeah,
Like, and it honestly is so right in that
yeah.
even though the CGI has come a long way, it looks great, it's still good. It still doesn't look even anywhere close as good as an actual practical effect, a real effect, that actually happened. So I do think that people get a bit sort of worried about the AI and things like
Oh, I
that.
do. I do. I've
And
felt
don't get me
that.
wrong, it's absolutely
Yeah,
changing every
yeah,
industry that we know. But what I'm
yeah.
saying is, in terms of art and the way that things go, I think people don't need to be so worried about it if they don't want to be. And also you don't have to imbibe on this stuff. If you don't
No,
want to go watch
no,
Fantastic Four, you don't have to.
no. Of course not.
But yeah, I'm glad you did, Brian, because otherwise we wouldn't have anything to talk about on the podcast.
We'd have a silent abyss, wouldn't we, if I
We
didn't
would.
go? Yeah.
I'd just say, what's going on at the cinema? And then there'd be this tumbleweed noise
Yeah, I know.
that we've AI generated into
Yeah.
the podcast. Yeah, I think I remember the original. Well, I say original, but the Fantastic Four films that I saw before, they were okay. I think they were pretty average at the time. They did
Mm,
another sort of vague reboot that didn't do very well,
yeah.
and then they've done this again. I think this whole approach to filmmaking really adds to the whole superhero fatigue that everyone's feeling,
Yeah.
because not only do we keep getting this sort of diminishing returns on
Mm,
new Marvel films, they're then coming back and giving us, oh, here's another go at
yeah.
this that have another chomp on this, and
Yeah,
you're
that
like, oh, it's just
so
it didn't taste that great to begin
I
with. Can we
know.
not?
I know, but you see, that tells you a lot in itself, though, doesn't it? When they
Mm,
revisit these characters, they're like, well, let's give it a makeover. Let's try again, and they do make money. I mean, that's for sure. But I just wonder how satisfying it is for the audience overall. But people vote with their feet ultimately, Chris, don't they?
yeah.
If they're not keen on it, they won't go and see it.
Well, if you have seen it, let us know
Yeah,
and tell us what you think of it. As part of Film Club's ethos, we want to hear from you as well.
yeah.
Moving on now to another film, and this links into our nostalgia pick.
Mm,
This film's called The Life of Chuck.
mm. Okay, Life of Chuck, directed by Mike Flanagan, based on a story by Stephen King, starring Tom Hiddleston, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Karen Gillan, and Mark Hamill. Chuck is Charles Krantz, an accountant living a painfully short life as the world slowly heads for catastrophe. His story is told in reverse over 3 acts. It begins with teacher Marcy Anderson musing about life, multiple disasters, and the loss of the internet are ominous signs of the end. He ponders mysterious adverts bearing the legend Charles Krantz, 39 great years. Thanks, Chuck. As the electric shuts down, Marty reunites with his ex-wife, Felicia. Meanwhile, Chuck has a brain tumor and lies on his deathbed. The earlier stages of his life are covered in the acts that follow, but what exactly does Chuck's life and death have to do with the end of the world? This is a wonderful film. I absolutely love it. It's very deep. It contemplates the meaning of life, but there's no psychoanalysis required. You can enjoy it on a superficial level if that's what you want to do. Uh, it feels like an analogy of what's important in life. My favourite act is Act Two, which is called Buskers Forever. It is one of the greatest movie scenes around. It will go down as one of the great movie scenes for sure. I'm not going to describe it because I want you and I want the listeners to experience that Act Two for the first time. It is absolutely brilliant because what you get through in Act Two is carpe diem, seize the day, live for the moment, just stop and smell the roses, that type of thing. So it's a very positive message that sits in the middle of the film and provides some light relief. Um, I think some people will find it heavy going, but Act Two seems to take the edge off the subject matter a little bit, but it is absolutely wonderful. It really
Wow.
is.
Sounds like film of the month territory, but we won't.
Well,
Don't
yeah,
spoil it just
no,
yet.
no,
I
no,
mean,
no.
you've got that twinkle in your voice,
I
Brian.
know, I know, I know, I know. I'm a dead giveaway, really, isn't it?
I mean, all the superlatives help as well, but
Yeah,
it's
of
just
course.
that energy, and this is in stark contrast to obviously the franchisee things we've just been
Mm,
talking about.
yeah,
Something a bit more unique. Obviously, it's a Stephen King novel, so that lends itself to being probably pretty rich and deep in terms of the story,
yeah,
characters and things. And yeah, it's great when these films come out, and I love it that we get to review it on the podcast
yeah,
because I possibly would have just you're on the streaming platform, you just scroll past it, you just think, oh,
yeah.
I don't know enough about that film to sort of
But
worry about it. But actually, now
yeah,
you're getting that review, I'm like, well, okay, that's a must see.
I know, it definitely is. Um, it's interesting that it's a Stephen King story because it departs from what he's comfortable with. He's out of his comfort zone because this is usually with Stephen King, it's horror stroke sci-fi, isn't it? Pretty much all the way down the line. He does depart from that genre now and again. This I'd call fantasy. Um, again, studying the meaning of life, and that's deep in itself. But um, it shows how inventive Stephen King is, and that if he goes off the beaten track a little bit, he can come up with something really special and different. So it's great. I love it.
Fabulous. We actually had a review sent in of The Life
All
of
right.
Chuck from
Mm-hmm.
Oliver Guild. um Gave it 3 out of 5, so
Really?
not quite as
Mm,
glowing as
yeah.
your review. Just trying to sort of see what his kind of critique is. Depending on your sensitivity to spontaneous dance sequences, Flanagan may have miscalculated our cringe
Okay.
factor.
Well,
Hiddleston is a natural mover, but there's something to his confident toe tapping that's unsettling, especially in a non musical film. That's just one part of Oliver's
yeah,
review.
yeah,
The dancing, I've seen this mentioned in a few interviews about the dancing and everything like
yeah.
that. How did that go down for you, Brian?
I liked it. I really enjoyed it because it broke the story down a little bit. It gave it light and shade. And look, opinions are important. We respect all opinions as long as no laws are being broken. Um, we like to hear these opinions, and we're not all going to think the same. And a film like The Life of Chuck will either hit you as a great film or it won't. It touches a chord in you or it won't. And with the review you just read a section of, it didn't quite so much, and it is a matter of taste, really, and a question of what you're looking for when you go to the movies. I mean, you might call it twee and sentimental, but to me, it communicates on a different level there. But you know, we've all got to have an opinion, and it's not going to be for everyone, for sure.
There we go. Well, thank you, Oliver, for sending in your review.
Mm,
And thank you, Brian, for the review there. We're moving now to another film at the cinema, Eddington.
mm, yeah, right, okay. Directed by Ari Aster, starring Joachim Whacking Phoenix, I do beg your pardon. Emma Stone, Pedro Pascal again, and Austin Butler. COVID-19 has struck the town of Eddington in New Mexico. The mayor, Ted Garcia, places the town in lockdown and makes the use of face masks compulsory. This places him on a collision course with local sheriff Joe Cross, who thinks it denies freedom of choice. The pill popping, asthma suffering sheriff is married to Louise, who carries excess emotional baggage. Cross decides to run against Garcia at the mayoral election, but tensions start to rise following the murder of George Floyd as the sheriff struggles to keep law and order. I did find this disappointing, I've got to be honest. Um, when you watch a trailer for a film and you think, oh, that looks good.
Mm.
Then when you actually see the film, you realise you've been sold a dummy. It's just not what you hoped it would be. It tries too hard to deal with too many issues. You've got COVID-19 going on there, lockdown, the George Floyd murder, white supremacy, racism, paedophilia, human trafficking, corruption. But it doesn't deal with any of those subject areas in any meaningful detail. And they'd be much better off just picking one of those and really drilling down, which they didn't do. Um, Joaquin Phoenix delivers an odd performance for me. It almost feels like he's quite trying to perfect a kind of a Marlon Brando mumbling delivery, and it didn't quite work for me. I wasn't sure where he was going with it, and the last 20 minutes of the film are just hilarious, but unintentionally hilarious. There are unwritten rules in films, Chris, right? And one of them is that the hero never gets shot, right?
Hmm.
Or hardly ever. He gets a nick, right? How on earth Cross, the sheriff, manages to avoid bombs going off and automatic weapons but just pointed at him? It reaches a crescendo. You think, really, honestly, is that really possible? So it stretches credibility even more. But for me, it just wasn't what I hoped. It's just doesn't work for me at all.
Well, Jack Salvadori, one of our critics on the website,
Yeah.
reviewed it after seeing it at Cannes and
Mm,
wasn't that impressed either.
no.
I think gave it a 3-star review, and yeah, echoes a lot, I think, of your concerns with it.
Mm,
And I must say, this was one of those films. Ari Aster, always interested to see what they're
mm.
doing, and then the cast, great cast. Happy to
Oh
watch
yeah,
it,
it
but then
is.
you
Yeah.
see these
Right.
reviews and you kind of go,
Mm,
oh, maybe not then.
yeah,
And
I know.
yeah, that's been quite prolific. It's been everywhere. These sort of middling reviews for this film.
Yeah, I know.
And in Jack's review, he mentions about whether it's too soon to be doing, or too early, or too
Mm,
late to be doing satire about the pandemic. But
mm,
we reviewed an indie film, I think last month,
yeah.
that was doing like a kind of comedy on it, Tiny Little Voices,
Oh right,
and
yeah,
that did a sort of like it's making a joke out of what happened, and I think that was so heartfelt and warm, and it had like a good idea there, and it was executed pretty well. A bit long, but it was generally
yeah,
pretty good. It seems funny that when you've got a film with this caliber of Hollywood
yeah.
names being dropped, that
I
they
know.
couldn't do something that was a little bit more impressive.
Yeah, I know. And you so want to like it. I want to enjoy every film that I watch, but I just couldn't. I couldn't see where it was coming from. And you've got to be careful how you deal with COVID-19. All the subjects it touches on, you have to be very careful. Delivery is everything. And to me, it just didn't get it right. It was skirting around all the issues, and I just wasn't convinced by it at all. For me, and I think probably if I was writing a review, I'd say it's just about a 3-star review. It scrapes a 3rd star, just about.
Just about. Well,
Yeah.
not impressive, but if you have seen Eddington and you want to send us your review, glowing or not, feel
Mm.
free to do so, or drop a comment on one of our social media posts. It's always great to see what other people think. I don't really need to ask what was film of the month, but I'm
Well,
guessing it's Life of Chuck.
yeah, I think it is. Look, I mean, if people were given the choice of those 3 films to watch, go out and watch, they're probably more likely to go and see Eddington or the Fantastic Four because
Hmm,
they're crowd pleasing films, really, right? So I think that's where the Life of Chuck loses out. But in my opinion, it's a country mile ahead of the other two, and it's easily the film of the month for me.
there we go. Well, some lovely films being reviewed there. More to come in the show. But before we do, I want to
Mm.
give a shout out
All right.
to a fantastic podcast that I've
Ah,
recently discovered, and we don't always do this, but
no.
it's great when we connect with some like-minded people.
Mm.
All the right movies.
Ah,
Um,
right. Okay.
so, like us, we do sort of surface level movie chat, but these guys go deep, really deep into a film.
Right.
Like, we do about an hour and a bit, and we
Yeah.
cover a lot of films in that time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they'll do like a 2.5 hour episode,
Wow.
and they'll go into like one film and how it was done and why it works and why
Right.
it matters.
Okay.
Um, it's major research. They read every
Yeah.
book,
I
every
know.
documentary. Some of the stuff they've done, if you go to their website or listen to their past episodes, is amazing. Like
Yeah.
how George Lucas, he only hired John Williams for Star Wars because Spielberg recommended him after Jaws.
Right.
And like little stories like that, which you just wouldn't necessarily know unless you've done that research,
Yeah.
or how the Terminator almost starred O.J. Simpson instead of
Really?
Arnie. Imagine
I,
that film,
I didn't
Brian.
know that. No, I know. God,
um,
that's given me a lot to think about.
yeah, absolutely. And there's so much of this. It's brilliant. There's 4 of them on the podcast, and they're sort of friends, but they've also got
Right.
this like absolute massive passion for film,
Yeah.
and it really shows. You get
Yeah.
great insight. It's funny. I remember I was listening to an episode of Mary Poppins, and I was laughing like straight away. So it's really, really funny.
Right.
they're really big on social media and everything like that, so you can
Mm,
follow them. If you search for All the Right Movies,
right,
yeah, wherever you get your podcasts,
right.
trust me, you never watch movies the same way,
Yeah, yeah,
and it is great to connect with these guys.
right.
Really thrilled that they have reached out and that we are able to sort of
Yeah,
talk about
it sounds
their
great.
podcast together.
Yeah,
And yeah, best of luck to them because we love movies. That's why we're here.
of course we do. That's why we do it. Have they done The Godfather yet, Chris?
Well, you have to go and have a look. I'm not
Oh,
sure. I
I'm
think they
just
have. I feel like they've
yeah,
done something on. Yeah, they have done something on The Godfather.
yeah. They would have had to have really. I mean, you think of the films that they could. I mean, you could cover any film, really, couldn't you? Really. Um, but I mean, the amount of research that must take. That's. I take my hat off to them. That is a lot of research. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like me that just brings up IMDb for 2 seconds. That's they're proper film buffs. They love it.
we're, we're
Um,
we're just learners, aren't we? Really,
we're just
beginners.
learners.
Yeah.
Um, Moving on to our streaming pick part of the show. Now, this is a film available on a streaming platform because we're not against them, guys. We're not against
Mm,
them.
no.
We promote them, and it's normally Netflix. But today we're talking about a Prime Video film starring the always great Eddie Murphy.
Mm.
Actually, caveat to that, he's not always great. There are some stuff that's not great.
Depends, doesn't it?
It does
Really
depend, Norbit.
depends.
But if we look at mainly his catalogue is very good.
Yeah.
Directed by Tim Story, the pickup is about a routine cash pickup that turns into a deadly pursuit when two mismatched armored truck drivers are ambushed by ruthless criminals with
Mm,
plans beyond the cash. What
mm.
did you think of the pickup, Brian?
Yeah. I liked it. I think it begins as a conventional heist movie, doesn't it? Really, you've got these two mismatched co-workers who don't like each other, but they begin to like each other as the story unwinds a little bit. So that's familiar territory. But what I did like was Zoe, Kiki Palmer's character, who
Hmm.
was the leader of the gang, has a slightly different motivation to other characters of that type in this type of film. Right, so she wasn't necessarily motivated by money, so it gives the film more of an edge, and it tries to do something a little bit different with a well-known genre. You know, the heist movie. It's been done a million times, and it'll be done a million times again. But this works very well. It's very neat, very compact, and doesn't overtax you. You know, let's say for example, where the life of Chuck really makes you think really hard. This doesn't really, and sometimes you need a film like this that doesn't really require too much of your intellect. So I really enjoyed it. There were nice performances there. Eddie Murphy does what he's best at, which is being Eddie Murphy. Let's be honest. And yeah, it was good fun. I really enjoyed it.
I think my issue was that it didn't feel like the Eddie Murphy that we could have had because we
Mm.
saw him in a few films. He's sort of had a bit of a renaissance. He's come back, and but with this, it reminded me a bit of. I watched Adam Sandler in Happy Gilmore 2 recently,
All right.
and it was similar to that, where I thought you've got this actor that is known for playing more kind of brazen roles, very sort of laddish or outlandish
Mm.
characters, but is so toned down
Yeah.
in the newer films,
Yeah.
and most likely because of age. Be honest, like
Yeah.
it's probably just not really up for jumping around and making jokes and
No.
dancing and stuff. That
Yeah.
it felt he was almost sort of, it looked like he couldn't really be bothered to be
Yeah.
there. And
Yeah.
that did come across, I think,
Mm.
a bit. But then in the second half of the film,
Mm.
there's this sort of like gelling of those three
Yeah.
characters. You've got the two drivers and you've got
Yeah.
Zoe who comes in.
Hmm.
And once that chemistry was a bit more there, it worked a lot better, I must say. Because, like you say, heist films, there's so many. And I don't think this is
Yeah.
in the big leagues. I don't think you'd
No.
ever consider this to
No.
be up there. It's not Ocean's 11, it's like things like
No.
that. It's
No.
it's more, okay, it's a decent attempt. It is fun. Yeah, you can sort of switch off a bit to it. You don't really need to sort of pay that much attention, but you
Mm.
can. There's a lot of sort of tongue-in-cheek dialogue,
Yeah.
sweary jokes, that sort of thing. I think
Yeah.
Pete Davidson is bringing a lot of that. Who's fine. But for me, I think I forgot about it as soon as I finished watching it.
Yeah.
I think I was like, okay.
It yeah, it is. It's a bit like that. But you see, Eddie Murphy, I think, really took the easy way out when he began selecting roles. His best films were his early films.
Yeah.
Trading Places, 48 Hours. Um, what was the other one? Trading Places, 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop. They were his best films. But you see, after that, I think he fell into a comfort zone where he didn't possibly pick. He wasn't fussy because it was easy for him to, have the cute laugh and and just be Eddie Murphy. When that's all right and as far as it goes, but you want to see something with a bit more depth because he can act. There was one film I would recommend of Eddie Murphy's, and that's Metro, where he
Oh, yeah.
plays it. He plays it straight. He plays a cop in it, but he plays it straight, and it is one of his best films. But didn't really get the attention I felt it deserved. That's worth checking out. Metro.
Even we reviewed Axel F, the
Yeah,
Beverly Hills Cop film that was more recent, and he was a bit more dialed down in that as
yeah,
well. But it had more of a reason. Like he's playing this sort of weathered cop who's sort
yeah.
of trying to reconnect with his daughter, and it sort of had a good sense in there. Whereas with this, I feel like they brought him on as to be this like curmudgeonly
Mm,
partner to the sort of excitable Pete Davidson character,
mm,
and all the Eddie Murphy character wants to do is get home for his anniversary dinner.
yeah,
That's his whole motivation, and he's using it even in these sort of the most bizarrest of scenes. There's no
yeah,
like outlandish reaction from him. It's more just kind of oh, is this going to delay me even more? And I kind of got that sense of like, yeah, he didn't want to overdo it. He didn't want to
yeah,
sort of really bring that much
yeah.
into the role, and that was a shame because, like you say, he has done some incredible films in the
Mm,
past, and obviously will go down as an absolute legend. But
mm.
this, I don't think, would make the top
No,
20 of his
no,
films.
it won't. It won't be in his canon of great films. Just in the same way that Vampire Brooklyn won't get in there either.
There you go.
Which is, have you ever seen that?
I haven't, but I've
Yeah.
heard the
Oh,
rumors.
really? Oh, it's dreadful. I'll tell you what. Once, one Eddie Murphy film I did see recently on stream was Bowfinger with Steve Martin,
Yeah.
which is really funny, and it seems funnier the second time around because he plays this slightly goofy character. He plays two characters, but he plays this goofy character who's related to the actor they want to get for this film that they're making. And the trick is that they're trying to film his brother without him knowing. Um, it's a very good film and one of Eddie Murphy's funniest roles. But when you act with Steve Martin, you shouldn't really have any problems there, should you? Really?
Well, apart from being cast into a big shadow,
Well,
he's
yeah,
he's
again,
very good.
yeah,
But yeah, no, Pickup. I think is one of those films where it felt slightly by the numbers, and they
yeah,
are aware that they, as long as they splash enough banners on the Amazon
mm,
Prime app, that people will
mm,
watch it. And I was happy to see it. I wasn't unhappy to see it as
no,
well. It wasn't like I came away going, "Oh god, what's that?" It was like a decent heist
yeah,
story for now, and I liked the emotional depth they gave to Zoe's character. Like I said, I don't want
yeah,
to sort of spoil too much around that, but that
yeah,
was good. But not one for the
no, no.
chalkboard.
Fair to say, but you know, satisfying in as far as it goes. Um,
Yeah, and that's not
yeah.
what you want to hear.
Well, no, I
Um,
suppose not. But look, that's the type of film you watch if you've been out for the evening. You come home, you want to unwind a little bit, and you're going through Amazon Prime or whatever it is, and that's the type of film you put on for an hour and a half. If you're not tired, you don't want to go to bed yet, and you want to unwind. It's that type of film, really.
there you go. I'm not sure they'll put that on the poster, but we'll see.
No, probably not.
Probably not.
my,
Um,
my marketing skills leave something to be desired. I'm working on
yeah. Brevity is your friend.
it.
I think that's it for the pickup. I don't need to spend any more time on
No.
that. Let's move on to the indie film section of our show, which is where we review a selection of movies that have been sent to us by filmmakers. They've said, please review our film. Well,
Mm,
not always please. They've just said, review the film. No, they are always very, very polite.
yeah.
And tonight I am very thrilled to say we have 5 indie films to review, and most of them we have a clip from, which is great. And we're going to start first with a clip from the short film Kreaster. Here we go.
Mr. Beauchamp, I'm Colonel Alan Baldwin. This is Dr. Samantha Early. She's a civilian He's working with us on this business in Thibodeau.
This business?
My apologies, I didn't mean to minimize or...
Forget it.
May we?
Help yourself. I'm in your house after all. At least for the time being.
So there's a clip from Kreaster, a story about Marcel Beauchamp, played by Saul Rendino, who must recount his horrific skirmishes with a shape-shifting presence which is plaguing the world. Yeah. Through his accounts, we learn more about their scary abilities and the carnage they cause. What did you think of Kreaster, Brian?
It was very interesting. There's lots of interesting ideas going on there, but I wasn't always clear where it was going. And it seems to me a bit more like a trailer for a feature-length film, which I understand is in the works, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a proof of concept for a feature film, which we get these quite a lot, but we always try and judge them on a as they are, as a short film. Does it work X, Y, Z?
I think it certainly does work because it makes you curious enough to want to see more. I think the leading actors were very good. I think the actor that plays Beauchamp is holds the attention, very charismatic, got great presence, and it holds together really well. But as I say, you normally want a story to be multi-layered, and you weren't getting that purely because of the time they had available and the fact that it is a proof of concept, as you say. But insofar as that goes, it was very good. But I want to see the full deal, the feature-length film, which I think will be very exciting to watch because it just gives you an idea of what the promise is here. The potential is great, I think.
Yeah, I think it was well done. It's got a great look and feel to it, and it's thrilling and even poignant and somber at times. I think it's got a lot of meat there to work with, and it does take the audience on a sort of moving journey.
Yeah.
I think the promise of the film, is bigger than the execution. That's slightly the issue.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, one issue, I think James Leroy picked this up in his review, not just about the blood splatter, which we talked about earlier, why not just use practical effects, but also about the fact that the film's big scene is very much at the beginning. It opens with this amazing scene, and then the rest of the short film is just explaining him going back into that, going and revisiting it, and there's like a suggestion about what's going to happen, and when it happens, it does kind of go, oh, okay, yeah, of course it was going to happen. That I think that execution, that delivery could have been changed. It could have been meted out in a different way that I think may have been a little bit more fulfilling. Because when I watch a proof of concept, like you said, very happy to watch a long version of this. Very happy to do that because it seems great. But as a short film, I think it falls down slightly in the sense of like you haven't really thought about how this would all work as 10, 12-minute piece or whatever it is. For an audience. So if this was in like a festival showcase, I think people would come away thinking, oh, okay, it sort of didn't really go where I wanted it to. There's a lot of interviewing going on. But I don't want to detract from its positives because there is some incredible... That actually open scene was great. The flashback sequences are really good. There's a few of those. And there is this sort of creepiness to the atmosphere that gets really enhanced by the sound design. And I think that creates a lot of intrigue for the viewer and a lot of sort of being unnerved as you're watching it play out. And I think it's one of those films that if someone said, what did you think of Kreaster? Yeah, I enjoyed it. I wanted more from it. I think it could have been delivered slightly differently, but it's certainly worth a watch.
Yeah, and you could say it's done its job then, if we both sort of reacted in the same way to say, we want to see more, we want to see the feature-length version, which is what I thought straight away. And when I read that there is, I think it's called Pentecost, isn't it? The feature-length version. I would look forward to seeing that because it gives them more time to stretch out and expand on the characters and the storyline in general. So I will look forward to seeing that when it's out.
Yeah. I think it's got a lot of promise there. The main actor, Rendino, is very good. I think he's doing a lot of heavy lifting because there's a lot on him to sort of carry that around. It'd be interesting to see where the feature length goes because I try not to give away spoilers. But the theme of the film has been done. It's been done before and very well in some cases. I'm intrigued to see what is the plan for that? What is the plan for that feature
Yeah.
length script that's going to sort of
Well,
bring something new, hopefully, to
yeah.
that genre? Because it is
Well,
sci-fi.
yeah. I'm sure we'll both look forward to seeing it when it's available.
Hmm.
But it's, as I say, and as far as it goes, it's done its job. It's made us both more curious about the feature length version, and that's why it probably comes across a little bit as a slightly elongated trailer for the film, rather than a complete end-to-end story that you get. But that's nitpicking. I think it's got great potential.
Yeah,
But
I mean, the filmmakers, when they submitted it, they even said, it's a proof of concept. They're not saying that,
yeah,
judge it just as a short film, because they're saying it is a proof of concept,
yeah,
and that's fine. I think trailers often don't work the same way as short films. Trailer
no,
isn't giving you a short version of it.
mm,
It's a promo more than anything else. And I
yeah,
think that's
yeah.
what this is.
That's the word. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I mean, definitely go and read James's review. He reviewed it on the website, and also check out the trailer whilst you're on there. There's a little trailer on there. I think it's mostly the sound bites you heard from the clip that we played, but it's worth watching.
Mm,
And the look and feel of it is great. You're in safe hands production wise.
yeah,
I think just get some practical blood in there. That's what we
yeah,
want. That's what
yeah.
James is begging for. That's what we want. We want
Real blood, proper
real
blood.
blood,
Yeah,
please.
proper
Not
blood.
real blood, guys, but you know
But
what I mean.
yeah,
Packs.
convincing blood.
Yeah, don't go and
Not
take people's actual blood.
yeah, not the
'Cause,
real thing. No,
can't do that anymore. Not in this day and
no,
age.
no, no, no,
No, no, no.
no,
No humans were harmed.
no, exactly.
That'd be a good slogan for the podcast, actually. No humans were harmed. Just that's it.
Yeah, no humans. Yeah,
It's a good selling point.
it's quite
As far as we're
reassuring,
aware.
isn't it? Yeah.
As far as we're aware, no humans were harmed. Thank you again to the filmmakers for sending that across. Moving on now to a short film, which sadly is the one I don't have a clip for, but you can watch a trailer on our website if you go to the review for Breadwinners. The review's by Patrick Foley back in the end of July.
Yeah.
Written and directed by Connor Haynes, and it stars Barry Del Sherman, Pancho Morris, and Wiley Keel. It's a film with lots of twists and turns, and starts with it's a short film, and it starts with a character calling up a gun store chain to not make a complaint, but ask a query about the product that he's purchased. But as the conversation with that gun store clerk goes on, it becomes clear that this customer has another reason for calling, and it sends you on quite a roller coaster in terms of what's going to happen, and try not to spoil too much. But with this sort of film, it's talking about gun control, and it's talking about ownership in America, or in the US, I should say. What did you think of Breadwinners?
Yeah, Breadwinners, I found this really gripping.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very good. But it becomes, without meaning to, by setting out its store very early, it becomes quite political, really, because it captures the consequences of a gun culture, doesn't it? How a constitutional right to bear arms can lead to chaos. That's what it's getting at. That's what it's trying to say. The actor who plays Wade is really good, very charismatic, holds the attention, and both principal actors are really good. But Wade Nelson is brilliant, absolutely brilliant in this role. And
I think it's Pancho Norris who plays Wade, right?
I beg your pardon. Yeah, Pancho Norris, right? Okay. So, but what I liked about his performance particularly was how low key it was, how controlled it was, controlled aggression. There's real menace there, but you sense it, but it's not obvious. And sometimes by doing that, you can make the point more forcefully, and that cranks the tension up because he's not typical of a character in that position who's just going to go crazy necessarily, but he's going to be very measured. He's going to say, do you know who I am? Do you know what happened? This is what you did. This is what I did. And it's excellent. It is really good. And the way it gradually builds the tension up, again, because it's underplayed. They underplay the roles. You've got Carver, who's the keen sort of office manager who's trying to help the best way he can. And as the conversation wears on, he panics more and more, doesn't he? Because his mind's in overdrive, and he's thinking, "What's going on here? What's he going to do?" And they take us with them straight away. I like films that just get you on board straight away, and you're there. You're feeling it, you're sensing it. Really, really good. Very
Yeah.
impressed with it.
I'm not 100% sure we've got the names the right way around, but because I think Hank is the one in the car.
Oh, right.
I
Okay.
think I might be wrong. I'm just going through. I think Patrick reviewed it, and I think he's saying that Hank was the one in the car.
Oh, right.
So I think everything you said lovingly about Pancho Norris was actually about Barry Dale Sherman. But guys, from my perspective, I thought both performances were really great. The
Yeah,
reason
they were.
being is, I'm going to go with Hank, Barry, and Dale Sherman in the car was this sort of evolving character that he
Yeah,
seems
you're
sort
right.
of unstable. There's a reason why he's calling, and you don't know what he's got
Yeah,
planned, and you don't really even know where he is because he's obviously in a
yeah.
car. But on the other side, you've got Wade, who's this gun store clerk who's
Mm,
having to balance the customer service role that he's
yeah,
in, albeit in a quite a what's the word? Sort of the tumultuous
yeah,
industry, shall we say?
yeah,
Something where they're known for
yeah,
being quite awkward. And then, but in the background, you've got his colleagues being buffoons. They're acting like
yeah,
morons,
yeah.
and this is all surrounded by weaponry that could kill
Mm,
someone. And it's
mm,
I think it's sending up this whole how ludicrous the
yeah,
situation is that these conversations need to happen,
yeah,
or characters need to do what happens, and albeit you've got people that would be able to sell these things that don't even understand the ramifications. And
mm,
I think that has got a brilliant
mm,
tonality to it
yeah.
to go
Absolutely.
along with the discourse which is happening currently about gun ownership.
Yeah,
Isn't it mad that we're allowing people to just have these weapons that can end not just one person's life but multiple people's lives very, very quickly without any kind of resistance or chance. And I think that is a great foundation to start the story from.
yeah.
Then you've got a brilliantly written script that
Mm,
plays out excellently. And we
mm,
talked about this in the previous review about,
yeah.
is this a proof of concept? Like, no, this is a great
No,
short film in
yeah,
and of itself. Like, you could watch this film and go, yeah, that's a brilliantly
yeah,
made piece of filmmaking, and it tells the story very, very well. Keeps you guessing as to what's going to happen,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
are
You never
on
know.
the edge of your seat
It
to
is.
see what this customer's going to do.
Yeah,
Yeah, it becomes more and more foreboding as it goes
yeah,
along,
yeah,
and you realize more and more this sort of severity of what's
yeah,
happening. Yeah, it was tense. The
yeah,
bit of comedy to
yeah, yeah,
keep you sort of not because it could have just been a complete and utter downer, right? It
yeah.
absolutely could, and those films have been made.
Mm,
But to take on a hot topic like this and do it in such a mixed performance is brilliant.
yeah.
As I say, the actors are great, brilliant filming. Even the camera work I thought was very, very good.
Don't.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I think Connor Haynes, the director, showing himself to be a very capable pair of
yeah,
hands.
yeah,
To take an audience through such a murky and
yeah.
intense dramatic
And
comedy, I think it was excellent.
it's done in two scenes, isn't it? There's a scene inside the shop
Yeah,
and there's a scene in the car. So they've done it very simply with not with lots of locations, but they've just got two base points for the story, and it works so well. But brilliant, really enjoyed it. And apologies to the actors getting the names the wrong way around, by the way.
yeah. If you have, I think you might have done, but it's okay. Brian has to go watch a lot of films, and I
Yeah.
do often whip him. And if he's licking his wounds.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think with Breadwinners, what I liked about it was also there's brevity here. It's
yeah,
not overstaying its welcome. It's
mm,
making a great point very, very well. It's compact. It's sharp.
mm,
And I wrote down this in my notes, and I'm going to read it out.
yeah.
It's a sharp piece that gets through to the viewer like a bullet.
Oh, very good.
Pun intended.
I saw what you did there. Yeah, yeah,
um,
very good.
and because it's got a simple setup. Like I
Yeah,
say, it's like two scenes basically playing out together, and I just think also with this, I would happily watch a feature length if there's a bigger
yeah,
story. If you want to go into more of this,
definitely. Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. I think it's one of those top short films that we've seen this
yeah,
year.
for sure.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I can't
Mm.
really, I got loads of superlatives I can keep
I
rolling
know,
out, but
I know. No, it just works really well, and it gets its point across very quickly. And how long is it? 10 minutes, 12 minutes, or something? And
mm.
that is real skill to be able to tell a story that's quite self-contained and makes uh, very perceptive points clearly about the absurdity of gun culture in America. And it does it in 10 minutes. That's kind of all you need to know, isn't it? Really?
And I want to make it clear as well that it's not a film coming at you with a big, bright ball with an agenda. It's not like that film. I think it's a film that's, and the best filmmakers do this. They
Mm.
find a topic and they just lob it up in the air, and they
Yeah.
go, "There you go, have a look at that." And you,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
think they want the audience to come at that and go, "Okay, well, how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
How does that make you react? Are you like, oh, well, the customers bonkers,
Yeah.
they're unstable, or are you, oh wow, there needs to be stricter gun laws in place, or
Yeah.
I think it's that film that gets you talking. You could come away watching this
Yeah.
with a group of friends, and all
Yeah.
five of you, if you're lucky
It-
enough to have five friends, could all could all have different things to say about it, and I'd
it-
love that.
it's provocative, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it
Oh, you've
makes
got the words, haven't you? Provocative. That's what I was looking
well,
for.
yeah. I mean, as you say, you could use all kinds of superlatives about a film like this, but the technical difficulty in making a film this length and making it work as well as that, I think that's really difficult, personally. But they've done it really well, and they don't all. Some work better than others, but this nails it, completely nails it for me.
Absolutely. And I believe that film is available to watch on
Oh,
YouTube.
all right.
Breadwinners. So yeah, go and check it out if you can. We'll do our best to signpost where you can get it, or drop us an email if you want us to see what's going on, or you can obviously find out more about them. So yeah, I should have said with Kreaster, they're online at Instagram and on all those things. At J Cooney 7, at
Mhm.
PB Productions, and at Sal Rendino if you want to follow those guys.
Mhm.
And for this film, it's Connor Haynes. So if you go to Instagram at Connor Haynes _, you'll be able to find out more.
Right.
And yeah, let us know if you watch it. It'd be great
Yeah.
to hear your
Yeah.
thoughts.
Sure.
Moving on to an indie feature film now. And we do have a clip of this. It's called The Bulls Night Out.
Ah. Right.
Here we go.
Over here, get your head down. Get rid of him. I want to see if you got any more guns. Hold this on him. You like robbing bars, eh?
Go.
Frick?
Call the 9-4. What's your name, kid? Keith. Keith, huh?
Nice name, honey. I always like Keith. That and Tom. What's your favorite name, JJ?
JJ. Keith, you got a partner waiting outside? No.
George, he don't need a partner. When he needs drug money, he'll shoot a little old lady in a grocery store for $40. Right, you hump?
Just the kind of a guy we need. What do you think, Lou?
He's right up our alley.
What are you guys talking
You
about?
play baseball, don't you, Keith?
Yeah?
Yeah? California? What are you, Dodger fan?
Giants.
What's the matter with the Mets and the Yanks? You don't like the Mets and the Yanks?
I love the Yanks. Waiting for it.
Good, good.
Yeah, Mickey Mantle.
Good, good. We're starting our softball season next week, and we need a starting pitcher.
Me?
Yeah.
I'll pitch.
So, not a new film. This was actually made in the
Right,
90s,
right.
and this is, as you heard from the clip, it's a throwback to some great New Yorker kind
Yep.
of characters.
Yep.
And it's a crime piece centered around a bar, and it's run by former US cops. The main one being George, who can't seem to let go of his detective passion and seeks to bust a local drug dealing crew along with his cop buddies. What did you think of The Bulls Night Out, Brian?
Well, this is a cracking good yarn
Isn't it?
of ex-cops bored by the routine of retirement, which is what I think it boils down to. They set out to show the kids how it's done, basically. It feels very nostalgic. I know it was made in the 90s, but I feel it's looking back even further than that. This reminds me of old cop shows like Starsky and Hutch, Kojak, Hill Street Blues, all of which were based in New York. And that's no bad thing. It gives you a strong template to work with. Very good storytelling and really, really good acting. One thing I've noticed on the indie films we reviewed tonight, Chris, is how high the standard of acting is. In Breadwinners, in Kreaster. You've got very strong leading actors there who can hold a scene, and you think, where have they been? Where have they been? You imagine they've been around, doing what they do, appearing on stage possibly, but you think these actors should have a bigger platform because they are so good. And I think this cast was so convincing, so believable. You'd be convinced they are ex-New York cops, and it feels a bit like a time capsule, but that's fine by me because you're putting the emphasis on good storytelling, and that's what you always got with the old American cop shows, and that's what it's harking back to, and a good funky soundtrack as well,
Yeah,
which is
I
good.
I think you're right about the nostalgia side of it. I definitely felt that actually it didn't feel like a '90s film. It felt, yeah, even
No.
like '70s, '80s.
Yeah,
Clint Eastwood, sort of Dirty Harry. Like, it reminded me of lots of things that I was like,
yeah,
oh, it's drawing on that. And then also, I loved that it was like an ensemble piece with lots of different great characters, great
yeah.
performances. They're all coming in. Often there's like a lot of frenetic chaos going on in this bar with characters just kind of coming in, going out,
Mm,
things happening, and then leading to another scene. It had a real feel of cinema to it that
yeah,
you
it did.
don't often
Right.
get, and the fact that this sort of feels like a bit like an undiscovered gem was lovely for us to sort of go,
Yeah,
oh yeah, we get to watch that. And also it's available on YouTube, so you can like go and watch this film as it's there. It is a
yeah,
bit dated, and
yeah,
I think some of the sound quality is not the best now, but it's like absolutely watchable. The writer and director is Lindley Farley, and we reviewed a film of his, or a series, the Fez Belcher Show. So still
yeah.
making
I remember that. Yeah,
still making stuff now, and I think with this, I really recommend people check it out if they've got that. Like you said earlier about the pickup, you come home and you think, oh, it's fancy chucking something on,
yeah,
because I think this is only about an hour and 10. I think an
yeah,
hour and 20,
yeah. It's
something like
nice,
that.
nice and manageable.
It's compact, and it will
Yeah,
really throw you back to that feel of like almost, I like to call it the sort of pre-mobile phone era.
yeah,
It's before all that. Characters are
yeah,
doing, cops are getting away with a lot, and that's also what I liked about this. It's got quite like a dirtiness to it. If
yeah. It's
these
raw.
cop
It's raw, isn't it?
characters,
Yeah,
yeah, they're taking the law into their own hands because they know they can kind of get away with it. They're ex cops and know what they're doing, um, but they're also trying to make a good impact in their community. So it raises a lot of like ethical
yeah,
questions. It
yeah,
can get you talking about those sort of things, which we like. And yeah, I it has also that, as you heard in the clip, like really kind of
mm,
fast paced
mm,
dialogue, that quick energy, and the
yeah,
characters are throwing in a lot of these like one liners and funny
yeah,
moments. Like there's a
yeah,
character of JJ that says
yeah,
things, and it's just,
yeah,
I think it just has that feel of it,
yeah,
and also the fact that you've got this storyline, it actually gives it that sense of it's an age old dilemma, right? It's the older
yeah,
generations
yeah,
feeling that the world is going to pot, and
yeah,
we're seeing that a lot now, especially on social
yeah,
media. These generations coming out and go, oh, things used to be better in our day,
yeah,
and we
yeah.
know what's best, and they
I
come in
know.
and do things in the way that they have always done them, and think that works. And so there's lots of there to make it relevant. Um, Alongside it having like banter, as
Mm.
if it's like Cheers. They're in the
Yeah,
bar,
it's
they
a little
people
bit. Yeah,
come
yeah,
in,
yeah,
oh hey George,
yeah. I
it's great.
know. Yeah, it is great. I love it. But you see, the thing is, yes, it is kind of dated, but it almost becomes a period drama, doesn't it? This is a snapshot of probably the 70s, possibly the 80s, right? So where it in some ways it's dated, but you could say it's a period drama. It's not a contemporary piece because it's very firmly got its feet planted in the past, in the 70s and the 80s. But I mean, you look at police corruption back then, it's still relevant now. It's still an issue, isn't it? Not just for NYPD, but any police force.
Mm.
These are common problems. So all police forces, wherever they might be. The only sticking point for me with this film was the subplot involving the daughter getting married. I think that kind of slowed it down a little bit for
It
me.
was a weird thing to happen as well. It kind of all of a sudden he just makes this big announcement to say, "Oh, my daughter's getting married," and it's like, okay, like at this point in the film, you didn't really know what was going on. But when
Yeah,
they sort of introduced this whole idea of them trying to take on the local drug dealers,
yeah,
I was like, okay, that's the film. Like, what's the wedding thing about then?
yeah,
Like,
no,
why was that even mentioned?
yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. That it felt like too much of a curveball.
It could have done without it, I think. But apart from that, great stuff. And the fact that it's on YouTube, we can see it for free, can't we? There's no mucking about there. You can see the film whenever you want, and it's one that we would highly recommend. I think.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying it's the best film I've seen. What I think
Huh?
it's a very interesting film to examine.
Mm,
I like a lot of parts of it, and I think you're right about that idea of exploring the police vigilantism and abuse of power and things like that, because these are hot topics, but
yeah,
also to see it, it's not completely condemning that behavior. And I think again, it's throwing it up in the air to say that, what do
mm,
you think of this?
yeah,
And there's a lot of impact that can have coming from a
mm,
film set in the past. Because if this was a film made in 2024 and it's showing,
yeah,
like you talk about, was it Eddington earlier? You talked
yeah,
about there was the George Floyd incident.
mm,
So you can make films about that. There's lots of things, and it gets people's backs up. People
yeah,
get very, very hot. Whereas when you watch a film set, 30 years ago, it gives you that sense of distance to be able to kind of
yeah.
watch it
It,
from a place of,
it,
okay, like, this is unfolding. How do I
yeah.
feel about this?
It's
Um,
detachment, isn't it? Really,
yeah,
that
yeah,
it
it's
really is
detached from it.
detachment.
So when you're looking at this like unorthodox behavior that they're promoting or engaging in, it's done from a viewpoint of okay, but I've been with these characters for a while now. Why are they doing that? Do they have other reasons? Again, not saying that that's good or even excusable. It's just it allows that dialogue to happen
Mm,
without it becoming inflamed even from the beginning, without you even
yeah,
having a chance to see it.
mm, mm, yeah,
But yeah, the film's called The Bulls Night Out. As I said, you can watch it on YouTube. You can go and read James Leroy's review on our website, whereby you can also watch the trailer, which I recommend you do. At least check that out. And yeah, if you see it, let us know. And also, if you know of any of those kind of films, those New
yeah.
Yorker kind of
New York, New York.
crime films, send us your best ones, your favorite
Yeah.
ones. We'd love
Mm,
to hear from them. Moving on to a short film reviewed by Chris Buick on the website and on our YouTube channel, Gold Hearts of Hot Rod County. And again, I have a clip. So there you go, clip from
mm,
Gold Hearts of Hot Rod County. It's told with a vintage sheen. This
mm,
tale of teenage heart-throbbing Caesar
mm,
farmer's daughter, Callie, collide with local cool guy Zach, and the pair engage in a budding romance, leading to a surprising drag race between his fast car and her
yeah.
souped-up tractor.
Mm,
Um,
yeah. Mm,
it's as you heard in that clip. We're getting a bit more nostalgia here. We're
yeah,
going
it
back
is.
to the 80s, I think, with
Yeah,
this one. And the
absolutely.
director, he sent us this great statement talking about the desire to capture this sort of feel. These movies coming from the sort of 80s and 90s, coming ages of classics. The Footloose, Dirty Dancing,
Yeah.
those sort of films, Days of
Mm,
Thunder,
yeah.
and it has that absolutely just oozing through the whole
Mm,
film. Even the soundtrack, the lighting, the costumes, everything about it just feels like, the influences that have gone into a film like this. What did you think of this movie, Brian?
yeah, I liked it. Again, it's very nostalgic, as you pointed out. 80s type soundtrack. And when I was watching, yeah, I thought of those exact three films that you just mentioned. So it pins it very firmly in the 80s. It's got an 80s feel to it. And I really liked it. I thought it was really good. The only thing is, towards the end, when they had the drag race, I did wonder whether they ran out of money a bit because it tended to sort of peter out very very quickly. And I was wanting more, a lot more. But again, we could be talking about a proof of concept here as well, couldn't we? That
Oh, 100%. I'd watch a
yeah,
longer version of this because it had
yeah,
that. It almost felt like it was condensed. It was like,
yeah, it
okay,
was.
well, these are the main plot points that we're going to want to sort of do, because you have a sort
Mm,
of. I think Chris Buick mentioned this in his review. Like, you got the girl meets boy, likes
Yeah.
boy, then sort of does he like her back? No, so
Yeah.
then they sort of almost come at odds with each other.
Yeah.
I think that played out quite fast in this short
Yeah.
film. I don't feel that it needed much changing. I think it was more that you finished it and went, okay, yeah, give me more of that. Like, yeah, happy to have more of that. But I do get what you mean, that it feels like, okay, but definitely more, yeah, definitely more.
Yeah.
Like,
Definitely more. Yeah.
and I think where you've got that harking back to a different period of cinema there,
Mm.
you're going to have that like built-in audience that are going to enjoy this,
Yeah. Of
and
course.
also bringing it to a newer audience who will appreciate, because it's very well filmed. The production values are
Yeah.
excellent.
I like
That
it.
I
It's very
think
good.
modern audiences will really get on with it, as opposed to say the previous film we reviewed, where I think some newer audiences might not be used to that type of filming and that type
Mm.
of production quality.
Yeah.
With this, I think it looks and feels great. Um, there's this bit where they reveal her tractor, and
Yeah.
it felt like a music video. It's
Yeah.
like in a barn, but it felt like a music video. It's like, wow, this
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah.
And that, I think, shows the sort of talent of this
Yeah.
filmmaking crew. I think it's excellent.
Yeah.
The writer director David Kobzenstev. I've absolutely butchered that name. How would you pronounce that, Brian?
I would say, yeah,
Kobzantsev.
Cobzan
Kobzantsev.
Steph. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
go for that.
yeah,
David, so sorry. He's probably listening, going,
yeah, I
"Oh,
know. Yeah,
idiots,
I know.
absolute idiots," and we are. But yeah, it's meant to be a love letter to rebellious juvenile love. That's what the
Yeah,
filmmaker said
yeah,
to us. And that it's a film inspired by those 80s movies that we
yeah,
talked about, but
yeah,
it's bringing in more of a like this slight modern twist on it. There's like little bits where you think, okay, well, she's just gonna be, she's gonna react this way, and then she doesn't. It's like they sort of it's got a self awareness to it,
yeah.
enough to make it more relevant to a
Mm,
2025 audience.
mm,
Because otherwise, it could have just been absolute pastiche. It could have been just another
yeah,
recreation of films that people love. And whilst there is definitely that passion there for those films, there's a freshness there as well, which I think people will really really enjoy.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, it's like there's a bit I think she's having this like internal monologue,
yeah,
and it just suddenly stops. Like it interrupts
yeah,
her like while she's doing it,
yeah,
and that
yeah,
felt really great. Like, oh
yeah,
yeah, that's clever.
yeah.
But yeah, the
That's
short. I think it just needed a bit more room to breathe. I
yeah,
think that's my main sort of thing
yeah.
I would focus.
I think there's some very nice touches there. I mean, it makes no secret that it's paying homage to films of the 80s. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I like that. That's great. I mean, there's still value in revisiting those styles and those approaches to
Yeah,
filmmaking. So there's no reason why it can't still work now. And I like that. I like that kind of that sense that they're being true to their origins and they're saying, look, this is what we grew up with. We grew up in the 80s. This is the sort of films that we enjoy watching. But as you say, there's a modern twist there going on as well. So I would love to see a feature-length version of this film.
well,
Absolutely.
yeah. I mean, send it to us if you do.
Yeah.
And yeah, hats off to the well, actually all the performers, but definitely the central romance characters. So
Yeah.
Callie and Zach. And we've been terrible with names tonight, but
I know.
hopefully played there by Noah Fernley and
Yeah.
Shayla Stensby. I
Very good.
think,
Very
yeah,
good.
there's a great chemistry there,
Yeah.
and it really held the film, from the beginning to the end, because you have to do that with a short film. You've got to get people connected.
Yeah, straight away.
Um,
Yeah, you
and
can't hang
Shayla
it back.
Stensby in particular, I was very much okay, yeah, I'm on board for your journey. Let's see where you're going, and
Yeah.
that worked to bring the viewer in. Yeah, the energy of the performances, but also the soundtrack and just the way that it filmed.
Yeah.
There's a dance scene in it.
Yeah.
I
I know.
think it's a very accessible film. It's got a
Yeah.
very wide appeal.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. There's no reason why it can't work and it can't get the attention that it deserves. It's really good. Very well done. And as I say, I mean, filmmakers borrow ideas from other directors, other genres. You can update them, and that's what they're doing here. That's fine by me. And like you, I'm a huge fan of 80s movies, particularly because the emphasis changed and they appreciated how important a soundtrack was to a film as well. that's when it really came alive, and the music's great as well. So it's a big thumbs up for me.
Big
Pretty
thumbs
much.
up. Yeah, so the film, just to reiterate, is called Gold Hearts of Hot Rod County. If you search that on Google, you should be able to find enough about it. You'll probably find our review. As I said, Chris Buick also reviewed it on our YouTube channel. So go over there and watch his review if you get a chance. The film is not out as far as I'm aware. You can find out more by going to David's Instagram, which is at David Kobe. So David, Koby. I mean, I can pronounce that.
Yeah, that's easy, isn't
That
it?
would have been
You know,
easy.
we
I
can
don't want
manage
to
that
tell you
one.
what to do, but if you could, go with that as
Yeah,
a surname,
yeah,
make
yeah.
me look like less of a fool.
It would help us out,
It
wouldn't
would
it?
help us out.
Yeah, it would.
Thanks very much. But thank you very much, David, and to the crew for sending that over because really enjoyed it. And as you said at the top of the show, it's an absolute privilege to get to watch these movies. And we've
Yeah,
got
it
another
really is.
one to share with you now, an indie feature film called A Road to a Village. And I have a clip. So when I asked for a clip from the filmmaker,
Yeah.
they were worried a bit about that it's not in the English language, and I said,
No.
no, it's absolutely fine. No, look, we like to give our listeners a taste of a film, and I'm so glad we did because
Yeah,
when you hear that clip, it really gives you a sense of the tone of the film.
yeah. You
It's a
get the
Nepalese
yeah.
movie.
Hmm.
Sorry, go ahead, bro.
No, I was going to say you really get a flavour, even though they're not speaking in English, obviously. But you do through the tone of language that's used, you get an idea what the film's driving at. I think so. That's always good.
And in that clip, you get introduced to you hear the character of Bindre, who is one of the main characters that we follow in A Road to a Village. We also see his father and a lot of the sort of community there, who, as the name suggests, their community is about to be changed because a road has been put in connecting the village to the sort of more developed areas, and
Yeah.
with that brings a lot of opportunity and situations that can then help to flourish the village, but also it brings a big change and drastic things start to happen to the people within that community, and we
Yeah.
see the impact of what quote unquote progress can bring.
Yeah.
And it's a really powerful message, and
Really
I
is,
love
definitely.
that we got to see this movie. What did you
Yeah.
think of it, Brian?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a very gentle and thoughtful portrayal of a disappearing world. People living off the land. The father was a weaver, wasn't he?
Mm.
Right. So there you've got these people living off the land, but disturbed by progress, industrialization, modernity. And what they're going through now is what our ancestors went through 200 years ago. You know, with the Industrial Revolution and the building of the railways, they're getting it now. And it's really thought provoking. You think, well, that's not something we've ever experienced. That was our ancestors who experienced that. But there are some parts of the world where that are untouched by progress, untouched by the 21st century, and it communicates a valid message that that people are no longer able to live the lives they want to live because progress means they're in touch with modern commerce, and that in the storyline itself, the father was struggling because the goods that he made could now be bought more cheaply in the closest town. This is now linked to a road, and it delivers a very simple message, but it's quite sobering. That they're going through this change now where we've got no concept of what they must be going through because it was our ancestors that did that for us. They did it so we didn't have to. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I definitely think that it's like a time capsule
Yeah,
film almost, but we're watching it. Obviously, it's set in the modern world. But what
yeah,
seems funny about this is that you've got a very rural location. Everything's set in kind of
yeah,
fields, and there's not much around. But then when things do turn up, like one of the villagers gets a TV
yeah.
or a mobile phone, that these things feel like they're like a sci-fi
I
film
know.
all of a sudden. Oh, there's like a they've
Yeah,
got this technology that just
yeah,
seems completely out
yeah,
of character with someone living in this village, and that sense of being part of this story was really powerful in this. Okay,
yeah,
well, we all take all this stuff for granted,
yeah,
and we're watching the impact play out on this family almost in real time. That you're like, okay, well, suddenly they're having to become entrepreneurs, and they're having,
yeah,
they're getting greedy,
yeah,
or they're getting obsessed with things,
yeah,
being, or the commercial side of
yeah,
life,
mm,
things that they never had to contend with,
yeah,
that were never introduced. And I think that plays a huge role with a modern audience looking at this, because as we sit here, there's constant developments going on
yeah.
all the time,
Mm.
changing the way we live life, and it's never been faster. The
I don't know.
impact that something can have
Yeah,
overnight. Whereas when you see these changes coming to this village in such a to them it feels very quick, but to us it feels,
yeah.
oh, okay, well, that's
I
it's
know.
a mobile phone, or it's
Yeah,
a TV, but to them that's huge, and it's going to have such a
yeah,
long-standing impact
yeah,
on their lives and their relationships, because
yeah,
we even see that we see that play out, whether it's between the father and son, or it's
yeah,
between like the father and his neighbors or his old customers.
yeah.
They all start to become, to be honest, mostly broken. There's a lot of there's not much that comes from that bringing them together. It
Yeah,
sort of almost feels quite negative in that sense. But I don't
yeah.
think it's trying to do that. I think it's just showing the
Well,
impact of
yeah.
modernity.
This is what's happening, and this is why I think in some ways, yes, it's set in the present day, but it's almost sort of saying, right, progress has stood still in this village, this remote village in Nepal. Progress has stood still. So, mobile phones, washing machines, TVs are something that's anathema to them, right? So now they're going through that change very quickly, where the rest of the industrialized world wouldn't take any notice of it because it's already been done. In other parts of the world, it's happened, it's been industrialized. But there you've got a predominantly rural environment where life has continued pretty much as it would have done 100 years ago, 200 years ago, but now it's changing just because of this road that's being built to going towards a larger city. And I think that's a sobering thought, and how that could possibly be the case in modern life. You think no one's been untouched by progress, but it shows that it does happen. It can happen, and the shock to the system when it does is portrayed really well in this film.
And I think you're right in that sense of it being the shock of it,
Yeah,
the connection being made, whether it's a road or a bridge or a piece of technology or something that just suddenly connects one thing to another,
yeah,
can have such reverberations that it's really fascinating watching that play out in what feels like a place that you can totally understand. It's not completely alien to
no,
us. Seeing a Nepalese village, like it's
yeah,
okay. It's a place you would have seen on the TV. It's not that, but what happens to them feels like it's like a condensed version,
yeah,
as you say, of like an industrial revolution.
yeah,
Um, and all it took was, say, maybe that character bringing a phone back because he went and worked abroad and he brought a phone back,
yeah,
and it drives everyone mad, and suddenly
I know,
everyone's asking for one, or they're trying to take a
yeah,
photo, and I think his son drops it in some poo, which is great.
yeah, yeah,
But how that could happen to something, that you think they've got this sort of agrarian lifestyle that is very much feeling at one with nature,
mm,
to then it being at odds with it coming and disrupting all that. It's quite unsettling, but it's not done in a way that is gonna, it's not looking to thrill you. It's not, it's not
yeah.
that film. It's more a gentle, as you say, it's a gentle story. I think
Yeah.
it is actually a PG.
Is it really?
I might be wrong. Yeah, it is a PG. I don't think it's a film for younger kids. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
I can't imagine my children
yeah,
enjoying this, because I think it is getting a small cinema run in the
yeah.
UK,
It,
and I recommend people checking it out if it sounds like the sort of story that you'd like
yeah.
to watch, because I was really thrilled to watch it. I
It's
enjoyed it.
yeah.
Um, it
It's really
was.
yeah.
So if you go to their website, undergroundslate.com/ a road to a village, they've made the film name all one word there.
Uh,
You can see where it's running at the cinema. Obviously, this is at time of recording. But as I said, I'm not sure tonally the film gets it all right,
uh,
because I think if you're going to tell this story, I think it could have had a slightly darker or
mm,
darkness to it.
yeah,
There are some things that happen which are quite upsetting. I certainly won't spoil those,
Yeah,
but I don't think it's dark enough to
yeah,
merit the way the film was given. If you're
yeah,
going, because I think if you're going to go for a film that's maybe more aimed at a younger audience or a family audience, you're going to want to follow the kids more. You want to follow the
yeah.
kids and what they're doing, and the impact. And we do see, obviously, that he starts selling Coke bottles to
I
the local
know.
kids and
Um,
or Coke drink to the kids,
that,
and we see that. But I think a lot of it does focus on the dad and the hardships and the
yeah,
gruelingness of how he has to sort of change and adapt his working. Like he starts selling liquor and things at one
yeah.
point. So I don't really think it's that appropriate for kids to
No,
watch. But
it's
I
dealing
don't
with
think it's gnarly enough for adults
no,
to really enjoy.
no. It's kind of fallen between two stools, isn't it? In some
Yeah.
ways. Um, but yeah, it does deal with mature themes. That would have to be said. I love the scene with the bottle of Coke where they were all lining up to have a taste of it. I think that was really quite sweet, quite funny.
Yeah.
But it gets the point across very well, and it's absorbing. It's one of those sort of films that you just invest in straight away.
Yeah. And definitely check it out if you can. If you can go to the cinema and see it, that'd be great, because I think,
Yeah,
obviously filmmakers doing that, I'm always wowed that they're going to do that. We were talking earlier in the show about the franchises and the Marvel, taking over. So if you've put your film into a UK cinema, you deserve to get some bums on seats. So hopefully,
yeah,
anyone
absolutely.
listening to this, try and check it out if you can,
Yeah,
or support them in any way that you can. As I said, there's a website, but they've also got a few sort of Facebook posts of things out there. I think if you
nice.
go to that undergroundslate.com, you'll probably be able to find quite a bit about the people that are running it, everything. That's it for the indie films,
Mm,
which leaves only our nostalgia pick.
yeah.
And normally with nostalgia picks, I go back quite far in the
Mm,
past. I
mm,
go back to a film from like my childhood, or
yeah.
we haven't gone back that far. Only gone
No.
back to 2017. And the reason being is that I like to link it into a film from the cinema releases, which I have
Yeah.
managed to do, because earlier Brian reviewed The Life of Chuck, which he also named his film of the month. I didn't
Mm,
know that was going to happen, but it's a lovely
no.
coincidence.
Yeah.
But this film has the same director and was also a Stephen King
Yeah.
story.
It was.
Gerald's Game, currently available on Netflix, was, as I say, released in 2017, directed by Mike Flanagan, who co-writes with Stephen King and Jeff Howard for the screen. And it's all about this couple trying to spice up their marriage and their love life by going to this remote lake house for the weekend. And after the husband handcuffs the wife to the
Yeah.
bed for some naughty play,
Yeah.
he very unexpectedly dies.
Mm,
And the wife is then left handcuffed to the bed and must try and survive the night,
mm,
and hopefully break free
yeah.
without anything. She can't even get a glass of water very
No.
easily. She can't even close the window or anything like that, or close the curtains. um, uh, Bruce Greenwood plays Gerald, the husband character, who also then comes back to haunt Jessie, who's the
Yeah.
main lady, played by Carla Guigno. What did you think of Gerald's Game? Had you seen this before, Brian?
Yeah, I have. I did see it when it was first out on
Oh, you
Netflix.
did.
Yeah.
So you
Uh,
actually were revisiting a film.
yeah. Well, you kind of sort of. Yeah. No, I've seen it before. But I only, when you only realise you've seen it. I mean, when you let me know that we was reviewing this film, it didn't spark off a memory for me. But as soon as I put it on,
Hmm.
within the first 5 minutes, I thought, oh yeah, I know, I remember this. Right, and it's that kind of film. It's more typical Stephen King territory, isn't it, as well?
This, funny enough, you were talking about the film earlier, The Life of Chuck, and you said how it was quite a diversion from
Yeah,
that. And then with this, I was like, oh yeah, this is more Stephen King, because
yeah,
you've even got I think there's a Cujo reference, because there's a
I know,
dog in there, and I think they talk about Cujo.
I know. And Cujo was made into a film, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The original novel came out in the early 80s, I think. But Cujo, just going off at a tangent just for a second, Cujo is a really underrated Stephen King film. And it's got Dee Wallace in it, and it is really good. It's really scary. So I like that counter reference to Cujo, because the dog's called Cujo. I think straight away you buy into it. You get engrossed in the story. You get lost in the story, because you put yourself in a position, not literally in a set of handcuffs, but you think, right, how's she going to get out? How's she going to work this out? And you've got her alter ego, and the ghost of her husband kind of talking to her, haven't you? Pretty much, um, as she tries to work out what to do, and it's very suspenseful, it's gripping, and it's a typical Stephen King story, and it works so well. You know, what a sort of a great mind though to come up with these stories and to come up with something so imaginative and innovative. Brilliant. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
It was weird that it gave me uh, a feeling of the film 127 Hours. Do you remember that film where the
Oh,
guy,
James Franco.
yeah, he gets caught
Yeah,
in the mountain with his
yeah,
arm, and he has to sort
yeah,
of, is he going to cut it off? Because obviously, she's stuck on the bed and find it very, very difficult, and even simple things like not being able to have a bit of water become very traumatic. Not also, she's haunted by a lot of things in her past, which then she has to sort of deal with
yeah,
uh, in these scenes through like hallucinations and things like that.
yeah,
It does take a weird turn near the end. I'm not going to spoil it, but there's something that happens. I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay, all right, so that was real then, right?
yeah.
Okay, like that was
I
a bit
know.
weird.
Yeah,
But I liked how it was very enclosed. It felt very intimate throughout. You're stuck with this
mm,
character as much as she's stuck in the
yeah,
situation,
it,
and it's
yeah,
unrelenting. You've got to try and deal with that tension and feel it. There's no let up. There's no bit where it kind of
no,
oh, yeah, actually, she's fine now. You can ease off. It's like no, that like
mm,
throughout, it's always very unsettling.
yeah,
And they have these
yeah,
flashback scenes which are just really traumatic.
yeah,
That was really difficult. I think the performances are excellent.
yeah. They're
Carla
great.
Quigno in particular, I was like, wow, that's a
Yeah,
difficult role to do, and she's
yeah,
done that very, very well. The manipulation that her character goes
yeah,
through all these different things that are coming up in front of her, I
yeah,
think the way that she's got to deal with that sat on the bed, or handcuffed to a bed. I think that is so
yeah,
difficult for an actor to have to do that. She
yeah.
does
It
it
is.
brilliantly.
It's a difficult part to play because she's, as you say, she's stationary. Right? For most of the film, she's just sitting still, and it's almost like a play, really, because it's in one room, isn't it?
Mm,
Pretty much in one room all the way through, and you think this would make a great play because you feel that sense of claustrophobia, and in your own mind, you're trying to think, right, what can she do here? You know, what can she do? How can she get out of it? And I just like the way the ghost of her husband was coming back to her and saying, "No, you tried that. That's no good. No, come on." He's berating her. Even his ghost is tormenting her, and it's very clever writing and well directed as well.
yeah, yeah. So it reminded me of another Stephen King film, which was Misery. Have you seen Misery with Kathy Bates?
Kathy Bates and was it James Caan
I think
in
it might have
Misery?
been.
Yeah, it's James,
And
yeah, good film.
that again with that sort of remoteness, being stuck in the kind of obviously it's a Stephen King thing.
Mm,
Obviously, I think the role's slightly reversed there because it's the Kathy
yeah,
Bates character that's the sort of
mm,
sinister one,
yeah,
whereas here it's Gerald who
yeah,
comes across as very sinister. That connected it, I think, more to sort of cinema and what we've sort of seen before. But this is very much its own story. It
yeah,
gave me those kind of vibes, which
yeah. No, it
I did
definitely does.
enjoy.
Yeah, yeah,
It's very well filmed, very slick. I think I like that as it's a Stephen King novel. There's a lot of things that are going on thematically
mm,
because there's this like whole thing about the dog coming and
yeah,
eating
mm,
the corpse that's there because it can smell blood,
yeah,
and then there's another thing that happens to the character because of blood and
yeah.
again don't want to go into it, but
No,
it's brilliantly clever in that sense. You've got a very clever story here,
yeah,
and it's being delivered very well.
yeah,
Obviously, you absolutely loved The Life of Chuck.
yeah,
You got the same director,
hmm,
same writers, almost going on here, but
yeah,
two very different films,
yeah. Very
and
different.
decades apart. Well, no,
Yeah,
sorry, not decades apart, years apart.
years apart. Yeah,
It just shows you, that evolution, and when you get good filmmakers working together,
yeah.
yeah, seems to be very good. Apparently, I haven't seen Life of Chuck yet, but I'm very much going to.
Well, it was. I mean, you know what they always say about novels that are made into films. I mean, Life of Chuck was based on a novella. I think it was a series of stories written by Stephen King that was called Let It Bleed, and that was one. So it's a very short novella. But bearing in mind that it wasn't a full scale novel, uh, to make a film like that and do it as well as that is quite an achievement. But you know what they always say though, that read the book or watch the film, and because you'd often be disappointed if you read the book first. But I think Stephen King's films or Stephen King stories that are made into films are very well done, and it's obvious that he's got a particular director in mind, um, and he's careful to choose the right director, so he gets something along the lines of what he's written. It's good
There you go.
stuff.
Good
Yeah.
stuff, yeah, and it's on Netflix, so you can check it out. Let us know what you think of Gerald's Game. That is it, actually, for your show. I hope you've all enjoyed listening, and if you come this far, you must have got something seriously wrong with you. But yeah, no, we really do appreciate it,
Yeah, we do.
and thank you as always to all the filmmakers who've sent their films in. Thank you to the listeners. I know we've had a few new listeners and things join, which is great. Thank you to Brian, of course, for going out and reviewing all those films. I can now put the whip away. And yeah, thank you to everyone on the UK Film Review website who've reviewed these films and review all the other films. Go and check out the website and read, listen, watch.
Yep.
We really do appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you again next time.
Bye for now.